Well, welcome everybody again, especially my new subscribers. I saw I picked up a chunk of those lately, despite not having put out one of my Sunday night shorts for a couple of weeks. Last weekend I was up at the big Stafford classic bike show on the Morini Riders Club stand, and it was a busy weekend. Lots of people coming up and asking technical stuff, and didn't actually get a lot of time to look at the show. That sometimes happens. Shot a tiny amount of video footage. I just wasn't, feeling like pushing through crowds and trying to film stuff, and didn't have the camera with me at some of the times that were quiet, set up and when we get there early in the morning. But anyway, a little bit of an update this time. I've got the Morini Riders Club bike on the bench here, and we'll be doing a recommission job on it. It basically runs. It was last on the road in 2009 and was kind of parked up for some electrical issues. I think it's just probably a faulty ignition switch. The electrics on these are not really unreliable. It's just that they've got a few more connections in them than is ideal, and most people aren't very good at diagnosing electrics. The ignition and charging system on a Morini work a bit differently to other machines, and a lot of people who are auto electrical experts, they mess them up even worse trying to fix them because it doesn't work the way they think it should do. I did pick up a few little tools at Stafford, which I'll show you on the bench in a minute, and a couple of bike related bits that were useful. And nearly forgot, I had on the club stand, I had my first Morini. For all my American viewers, the licensing laws in the UK, you have to do a compulsory basic training course before you're allowed to ride a motorcycle, and that's pretty much an all-day course. First of all, riding around cones in various exercises in a car park somewhere, and then at the end of the day a 2-hour observed ride with an instructor and a one-way radio link. And when you have completed the course to an acceptable standard, and it's not the same as like passing a test, you just keep doing the exercises until you show that you can do them reliably to an acceptable standard. You get your compulsory basic training certificate. You can then ride a 125cc motorcycle. The power limit is now 11 kilowatts, which is 14.6 horsepower thereabouts, and that certificate lasts for 2 years, and you can then do another CBT, do the compulsory basic training again, or you can take a 125 test and you get a 125 license, or you can, and I forget exactly what the progressions are now, but I did what they call direct access. I took my test on a 500, still with L plates on, and got myself an unlimited license. The test is 40 minutes observed ride with a one-way radio link from the examiner. But anyway, the 125 was my first Morini. It was my learner bike. Second time around, I had a poor example of a Honda CG125 in my 20s, but the least said about that bike the better. Bits of it are still around on the indicators on my 350 Sport are actually off it, and the forks are on my friend Jenny's Honda race bike. Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant thing. Difficult to ride. The Morini is, by contrast, quite a nice little machine. And anyway, I got it back 2012 and had it up on the club stand this weekend, and it's now, because it's been lent out to a friend for a while, it's now come home, and I've got some footage of it in the back lane. So I'll stop waffling now, and we'll shift over to the other camera, and I'll show you a few of the little bits and pieces I picked up. Okay, well, I only really found one stand selling interesting tooling, and I'll actually do these in reverse order. I got a rather nice Starrett flexible scale, Imperial. I mean, it looks basically new. I haven't got any other flexi scales, and you know, I do use the Imperial from time to time, so you know, it's worth having in the box. And the other Starrett item, and I will use this, is a rather nice set of inside calipers, and you know, these actually all came out of, there was a machinist's toolbox, and these are all engraved with the R Stokes, F Stokes. A little bit dirt on there, but those are rather nice. Rather down market in brand, but you know, actually pretty nice. These are Draper. The Draper stuff's fine. And this is a complete set of inside and outside radius gauges, 1 to 7mm, and 7.5 to 15 in the 0.5mm intervals. And I've been meaning to pick up a set of radius gauges for ages. They just come in handy every now and then. And again, these are all engraved F Stokes. So now these effectively cost about £6 each, which is a little bit more than I would be liking to pay for them, but the other half of the deal made it worthwhile, and that's in this little box here. And it's a compact from Geneva. And it's a rather nice little dial gauge, which, I mean, you know, it doesn't even seem to have any greasy fingerprints on it. Now if I can get it angled right and get it up here, it's if you read the interval, it's 0.001 millimeters. So this is a 1 micron resolution gauge. It's got a 5mm travel on it. It's a little bit sticky from where it's been stored, but I think that's the highest resolution. We'll have to ask, you know, Adam and Tom, have they got a higher resolution gauge? They may have bigger ones, but perhaps I've got the highest resolution, and that was £25, and that's less than I would normally have expected to pay for that. So I think the overall deal was pretty good. So there were a couple of bike bits I picked up too. Now one of them I'd actually ordered before the show and picked it up off the stand, and that is a voltage regulator for one of the Gilera CXs. I'd had a a regulator failure, and I'd stolen one off the other bike, so I needed to get a replacement. And I kind of mention this because people don't check prices. I've seen these listed on eBay at €100 that don't sell. I've seen them sell for 70, €80. Well, this is a new old stock. I mean, it's a little bit dirty, but it is a new one. And that cost me £39. And that's from Bob Wright Gilera. And he says he's got plenty of stock, it's diminishing, and he has what I consider a good philosophy. If parts are affordable, it keeps bikes on the road. And bikes on the road means bikes being used and worn out and buying replacement parts. Because I've seen some other marques where somebody comes in and they buy, particularly Suzuki years ago used to get rid of all their spares when they were 10 years old. And there used to be a guy who bought them all up and then charged outrageous prices for them. And when you've got a bike that's worth £300 and a part for it at £80, you think twice about whether you fix it or not, and quite a lot of stuff just got scrapped. And then what's the use of having new parts for bikes that are all gone? So now I've got to take all the bodywork off the CX. The last time I changed one, I did it by keyhole surgery, and I've decided I'm not going to do that again. So at some stage we've got to get it on the bench and all the bodywork off and change the regulator. And from a fellow Morini Riders Club member, who I usually see at the show, I picked up an exhaust heat shield for the princely sum of £5. And these are quite difficult to get hold of. The mounting bolts often sheared. They're not it's a 5mm thread in the boss on the exhaust, and they quite often got broken and the heat shields got lost. This is the slightly later style heat shield, same as on my 77 bike, but it fits the early bikes too, and it's in pretty decent condition. People have done repros, but they're not properly pressed like this. They tend to be in three angles. So having a correct one, and it's all straight. You can see all the holes are dimpled apart from the two that are for the mounting. So really pleased to pick that up for the money, and I'll have to try my powder coating kit out sometime. I think, see if the powder coating gun I built works. Well, this is an old friend. This is my very first Morini. Bought it over a decade ago from the Morini specialist, North Leicester Motorcycles. And Stuart, the owner, said he'd put money on it not giving me trouble and I'm having no problem riding it the 80 miles home. But I got as far as the local chip shop before the clutch cable snapped. And there was they used to close early on a Wednesday, but I just caught them on the with the mobile, and Alex, their mechanic, was sent out on his little race-tuned Morini with a clutch cable in his jacket, changed it in on the spot, and I was on my way. And I guess I owned it for about 18 months. Eventually, as my 35th birthday was looming, I actually got my finger out and went and did my direct access test. Got a full unlimited bike license, and I'd already bought, actually before I passed my test, a 250 V-twin. This of course is the 125 single, half the V-twin. And after riding the 250, which is just so smooth, this really didn't feel at all good to ride. and I took it back up to North Leicester Motorcycles and traded it in for a Strada, the Touring 350, and I didn't keep that for long. It didn't. That one didn't suit me. But this sold within about 6 weeks of me trading it in with Stuart, and then year before last, around this time of year I think actually, I spotted it on eBay, and I thought, oh, we don't see many of the early V-twin based singles in the club. That'd be nice to have back, and put it up onto the club stand at the shows. And originally I paid £1,000 for it, and when I traded it in I got 800, and when I bought it back off eBay it cost me £650. So overall it's been a pretty cheap bike to own, and if you're just going with the flow of traffic and not trying to push through, it'll do about 130 miles to the gallon. So I always joke that it's actually cheaper than walking. And it's quite a willing little machine for a 125. And you have a look at the stickers on the front mudguard there, if I can find an angle that they don't get the glare from. We've got the scrutineering sticker and noise test sticker from the Cadwell Park Morini Riders Club track day last year. And my friend Roy took it round. They had a special discounted entry price if you turned up on a single cylinder Morini, with just a single cylinder Morini, to celebrate Tarquinio Provini nearly winning the 250cc World Championship against Jim Redmond on the Works Honda, which was a 4-cylinder with the Morini being a single. And 2 points he came of equalling Redmond's tally. And if they just didn't have the money to enter some of the races, and if they'd done so and scored more points than the Honda, they would have potentially won the championship. So to say, there was a discounted rate, and my friend Roy has been going to the track day for, I don't know, nearly 15 years, but he'd never actually done the track day. And it's a big chap, I mean 17, 18 stone, something like that. And this little bike hauled him round the track, and he had a lot of fun. Not very fast, kept on the racing line so people knew where he was going to be. And well, somehow changing the cam belt had slipped through the agenda, and it broke a cam belt, but managed to beg a used one off somebody in the paddock, changed it on the spot, and Roy was back out on track again for another session.